And most people, when they think about trucking, they think about how their life is affected by trucking instead of like, okay, well, trucking is its own unique culture. Because most truck drivers are not driving a truck because it's just a job. It's the personality of who they are. So it's not just their vocation, it's avocation. So when you come here, you get to see what it's like to be a trucker.
You're listening to Freight Famous, presented by Rose Rocket, bringing you the people that make trucking move. From behind the scenes into the limelight. Here's your host, Justin Bailie.
So today is a special show, and when I say special, I mean that in many different ways. We do not have a script. We do not have a bio.
That could be dangerous.
We do not have any notes other than this small pad that I'm looking at. But I was really fortunate to be able to connect with Brent Hutto from Truckstop, and he is the Chief Relationship Officer, and he also goes by the Chief Fun Officer title, and actually spending some time with him, I'm totally in line with that. He's been an excellent human being to interact with, just as we're getting warmed up here and with meeting him yesterday. And we are live from the Mid-America Truck Show in Louisville, Kentucky. Brent, thanks for coming in early in the morning to do this without any structure whatsoever.
No, man, it's our pleasure, man, our pleasure.
Yeah, man, and I'd love to hear about, I think, you just had mentioned before we recorded, and I wish we had of, that you've been coming here for 24 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe let's talk a little bit about what this show means to the industry, to you, and just give a little bit of color on that. That would be really interesting for me anyway.
Oh, yeah, well, I'd love to. That'd be great. So, well, first off, thanks for having us on. We appreciate being partners with you guys, and you're being part of what we're doing to help the industry grow. So that's really cool, and thanks for having us on here. This is a really cool show, and because part of the challenge in trucking is for trucking to feel good about being in trucking, So a lot of times when trucking's thought about by some of the general public or how the media looks at it, it's not always in the best of lights. But when you come to the show, and this kind of is a celebration of what's sort of unique and real about the trucking industry. And most people, when they think about trucking, they think about how their life is affected by trucking instead of like, okay, well, trucking is its own unique culture. Because most truck drivers are not driving a truck because it's just a job. It's the personality of who they are. So it's not just their vocation, it's avocation. So when you come here, you get to see what it's like to be a trucker. What's important to them, how they operate. You get to see them, meet them face to face. And so coming to this show, I started in 1998 coming to the show, so it was my first year actually physically working trucking. As a kid, my dad had a small steel processing company, and my job was to work on the docks and run a forklift and try not to kill my brothers who were working with me with it, and then load the trucks. So I met lots of truck drivers when I was starting at age 12 or 13, and so I've been around them for a long time, but I officially got in the market in 98 and started coming to the show, and I thought, oh, wow, okay, I'm just going to go to a truck show. It's like any old trade show, and boy, I was blown away because this is an experience into what it means to be in this industry, to drive a truck, to see the pride, to see their dedication to what they do, and how professional they are, and how unique they are, and how passionate they are about what they do. And so if you don't know that, you think of it in kind of, you can kind of sometimes think about it in the worst of lights, but this show is the reflection of that. It's been around 51 years. And so prior to working at Truckstop, I worked for a media company, and we were involved in this. I worked for Randall Riley, and they have Overdrive Magazine, which was the sort of the business book for owner-operators. So I've been around the whole time. It wasn't like I was in a different part of the market. But this show, Justin, is just such a reflection of that. And so I encourage all of our Truckstop leaders and every person that works at Truckstop, you need to go to Mid-America because you need to understand what makes a truck driver, an owner-operator. And you can't do it unless you get in their environment, and this is the greatest place to do that. And on top of that, they get the best pork chop sandwiches anywhere, so I always get to enjoy a great pork chop sandwich, but kind of gives you a taste of this. And I get fired up about coming because nothing happens in freight movement until a truck moves it. Mm-hmm. And so it shows you the importance of this industry, and it gives pride back to the participants that do it, the drivers that do this, anybody that's moving freight in a beneficial way for all of us that get to enjoy it. But this is the place you get to see that. And you won't see it anywhere else because this is this is the sort of the granddaddy of all shows, but it's also one of the last ones standing. And so I just appreciate what the Young family has done. They operate the show and are part owners in the show. And so it's just unique. It's just so unique. And it just shows you that it's a little bit different than what you probably think it is, but it's so wonderful and warm and inviting, and so that's kind of how Brent looks at it.
Sure.
And but yeah, so that's what Mid America is, and have been fortunate enough to be here coming up for a long time.
It's also, so this is my on the opposite end of this, my first time.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And so when I came yesterday, my intention was to, and we're exhibiting here as you can tell, and my intention was I'm gonna show up at the show, and I'll just go in a gate and I'll find our booth.
Sure.
And so 45 minutes later, I still haven't come across our booth. The size of the scope
It's
and the
massive.
size of the show is unbelievable in size. And I mean, it's very hard for someone who's been to sort of a lot of shows just in my life, travels in various industries for various reasons. This is pretty breathtaking in terms of its scope. How, going back over the last, 2 decades plus since you've been doing this, how has the show changed, if at all, I guess?
Yeah. Well, I would say it's changed very little.
Yeah.
Most people, when they think about trucking, they kind of think about like the progress of our own American culture, or the culture that you think about how life's changed for somebody. Well, the trucking industry is a massive, in freight transportation, it's a massive trillion plus marketplace. So this is not a small economic endeavor that goes on inside the United States, and it's linked to everything. So this show has evolved. It's gotten bigger and bigger, but it hasn't necessarily changed a lot from the standpoint other than there's it's a little bit more global, because there's parts of the show that have an international flair to it. You see, I'd say the biggest change in the last 10 years has been the technological change, along with great companies like yourself who are introducing new technological opportunities and advantages to running their businesses better. So you've seen a tremendous push of how technology is automating things and making it easier so they can move more freight and do it in a better way. So you've seen a big push of that coming into it. We've been kind of technology for a long time, but you see more and more of that, especially in the last 10 years. But from a standpoint of like its personality, very little changes, because really, really big industries don't change very fast. And they don't really want to. This industry is still a very old school industry. That's kind of why my title's kind of fun. Chief relationship guy, chief fun guy. One of the principles behind being the chief fun guy is that, and this is sort of something we operate at Truckstop, if it's not fun, we're not going to do it. It needs to be fun, because people need to be enjoying themselves. And people get a lot more done when people enjoy themselves. So we kind of bring that personality to talking and working in this marketplace. And so this show is a little bit of a reflection of that. You'll see the truck drivers, they're generally in a great mood. They love to talk to you, and so sometimes you have to say, hey, I've got something else to do, because they will talk and talk and talk, and they love talking about the industry. They love. And I hope you get to go out and see the truck beauty show.
I want to. I had heard about it yesterday.
They love talking about their trucks. It's incredible. So it's stayed the same, but there's some new things that are helping it change. And I would say the biggest change has been most of the technology, either technology or platforms that have put new technology into what they're doing, or new technology that they're bringing in from the standpoint of automation of data that's helping along. It just basically helps the industry move more freight. So that's really what my observation has been over a couple of decades of it. But it's been neat to see how it stays the same, because that's very comforting to people, knowing that, hey man, I'm part of this, and it hasn't changed. I haven't changed much. The truck driver. And but it's kind of moved along. It's advanced along.
I wanted to actually make a comment that yesterday we were when we'd first met. You'd come over to the booth here. We were sitting down. It was pretty busy, and you were in your full Truckstop gear, and
That's
so
right.
people could tell you were working there. And a customer came over and stopped to wanted to talk to you, to ask you about how to use the app in a certain way, like a full-on why is this button here type question. And I was really struck by how you took him on, took his question serious. Gave him your cell phone number. This was not a large company, because I had a chance to talk to him after, and you didn't ask to qualify either way. That wasn't your prerogative to care about that. And it was a really nice moment of sort of, I guess, part of the reason that this is such a I think family-like culture is because there are because it's being upheld and maintained by people like yourself. So I thought that was a really beautiful move and a very really. It's very easy sometimes, I think, to forget what brought you here,
right?
And
right.
you could have been very, I think, still professional and kind, but dismissive, and
right.
you weren't.
Yeah,
I thought it was a really nice, classy move, by the way. Yeah.
Well, thank you first off, and I was also amazed at the gentleman that came up to talk about it. It's always funny to me because truck drivers are very direct.
Yeah.
And they're like,
right.
"Hey, can I interrupt? Let me ask you the question." You know, so
yeah.
they're very, very direct, and I love that about them because they're very literal.
Yeah.
They go, "Hey, I've got an issue. Can you help me?"
Yeah.
And so I love that about truck drivers.
Yeah.
And so and they're, to me, Justin, it comes back to the very simple thing is that, are you going to treat everybody with the same value?
Yeah.
And Truckstop, that's one of our things we do, and that's how Brent operates too, me personally.
Sure.
You know, we all have the same value. We may be at different parts of the journey, and we may be doing different things.
Yeah.
But we all have the same value. And so when that gentleman comes up and talk to me, I just need to treat him like I want to be treated,
Yeah, right on.
which is I want to be listened to. And look, and I realize sometimes, you get interrupted. So was he interrupting our conversation, which was important because
Sure.
it was the first time to meet you?
Yeah.
And we were talking about, hey, what do we want to talk about? What do we want to do it and getting to know each other so we're comfortable and everything. And that was important.
Yeah.
But he was important too.
Yeah.
And so at this show, it's just I want to be what, and Truckstop wants to be what we should be to truck drivers, which is to treat them with equal value.
Yeah.
And especially honor them and how they serve the industry. And I'll tell you, one of the things that spoke just volumes to me during the pandemic, because that's obviously a unique thing, right, for all of us. Well, we all went home. We all kind of huddled in and got real, observant and a little concerned about our health and those sort of things. But truck drivers couldn't do that because they have to deliver not just food and stuff to the stores, but needed healthcare stuff.
Yeah.
Needed supplies for all the people that were trying to serve and save people's lives.
Yeah.
Truck drivers couldn't stop, and they were
Yeah.
just as concerned about their health as
Yeah.
anybody else.
Yeah.
But more than 90% said, "I'm still hauling the freight."
Imagine they
And
did.
so,
Imagine
if they didn't.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of great sort of hero moments, but certainly truck drivers were part of that. And so I just want to honor that, no matter who it is. And look, they come to this show to solve problems.
Yeah.
To be in their culture, they're part of how they choose to live their life and run their business. But also, I just want to honor them in that and say, hey, if you've got a need, let's talk about it. And if I can't get to you right now, here's my card. Call me directly.
Yeah.
And some do, some don't.
Yeah, sure.
But to say, look, I'm going to treat you equally. If you walked up to me and said, hey, I need to talk to you about something, I couldn't talk, I'd do the same thing with you. You know, so why not just treat everybody equally?
Yeah.
So, but thank you. It was cool though when he said, hey, I'm looking at using Rose Rocket too, which was really cool. So I was like, oh, well, that's cool.
Well, the truth is, so when you went to get your card and he started drilling me around some product shortcomings as well.
Right at you. Right?
And I'm like, I don't know, and I wish I did.
He's like, by the way, I got to talk to you too.
He did.
But it shows you the personality, man.
100%.
Yeah, it shows you the
100%.
personality.
We had a quick chat yesterday about, and I want to learn more about this. So, right now, sort of as you talked about the emergence of platforms, so the emergence of more technology in the industry. And I think if you're in this industry, you're abundantly aware. Yeah. And it's not just Rose Rocket; it's companies that I think there's a bit of conflation around what Truckstop is.
Okay.
And as I look across, I look at what Uber Freight is, and I look at what Convoy is, and I think it would be helpful to understand. I think just for I guess for listeners, but probably selfishly for myself.
Okay, sure.
What really is the difference, and how do you see yourself being different than a company like that?
Right. Yeah. Well, you know what? That's a great question. I appreciate you asking it because there's a lot of clarity that needs to be expressed in the market, and so because of technology and because of things that have come in, and I think part of it is just the ideological push of what a company wants to do and how they want to interact in the marketplace. So you see new products that come in the marketplace, like an Uber Freight or a Convoy or anyone that's bringing a better use of technology or a better use of the automating information and interaction.
Yeah.
It's not, you can't just say technology because guess what? Truckstop's been technology since '95.
Sure.
All right. So, so we've been around since none of those words existed. Right. So. It's sometimes it's people and companies expressing themselves from a marketing standpoint, because marketing speaks to people. You want them to understand your product, but in the end, it's what you do at your core that's important. So customers like or technologies or let me say maybe back, companies like Uber Freight are defined as, and Convoy and other sort of digital platforms that come in are just using a great piece of technology to run their brokerage, because they're a brokerage company.
Yeah.
Uber's a brokerage company. Convoy's a brokerage company. Anyone else is doing it, all of them are brokerage companies. And so they're customers. They're all just customers of Truckstop. So do they have is their design in the marketplace a platform that they operate and work on? Absolutely. Is Truckstop a platform? Because it's a technology, just like, absolutely. But the difference is that a company like Uber and Convoy, and they're great friends. The guy that runs Uber Freight, Bill Drieger's a friend. The guy that founded Convoy, good friend, Dan Lewis. They're great guys, and they're helping the marketplace and doing things. They know their business, but they're just customers of Truckstop because we're very different. A load board is a marketplace that uses a piece of technology to help two parties work together, and it's massive amounts on both sides. Tens and tens of thousands of carriers on one side, and about 99% of all the brokerage marketplace, and that's thousands and thousands and thousands of brokers on another side, working together, we clean and clear all the information so they can transact together. So we're different because we create a opportunity for the marketplace to communicate together. If you're a brokerage company using a piece of technology to help you communicate better, you're just a single entity using a piece of technology so you can get the information out faster to a carrier in the marketplace that is a sort of a smaller part of the marketplace. We define ourselves, and this is not 100% correct, but we define ourselves as the marketplace because we have all the players that want to interact inside of moving freight inside the spot market using our platform, and they're all working together in that form. But it's a free marketplace, So it's different because Convoy and Uber and those types of companies have one brokerage communicating out. We have thousands and thousands going out to them, so it's just very different.
Yeah.
But so it just looks at how you define yourself. We're not a brokerage. We have no business. Brokers are our customers.
Yeah.
Carriers are our customers.
Yeah.
And so it's just very different. And I think part of it is just understanding that on how it's communicated out. And so as the market moves forward, more and more technology is being utilized. And by the way, all brokers in the future will have a digital aspect or a information automation aspect using technology to communicate out. If not, they'll have a tough time competing in the market. But so it's very different. I got that question yesterday when I was speaking from stage. Like, how is Convoy different than Truckstop? And I was like, okay, this is how this works.
Yeah.
And this is the why it's important is that the carrier, the females and males that come to this show, want choice.
Yeah.
Because they run an independent business. Yeah. They don't work for one broker or one fleet.
Right.
They want to work for whoever they want to work for.
Yeah.
And it could be 5 in a year. It could be the average carrier that uses Truckstop uses more than 30 brokers every year.
Yeah.
So because they want to go wherever they want to. So it's about choice. And you don't get that unless you have a marketplace.
How do you, I think this would be really, how do you be a marketplace that allows for the broker to operate well, use your product well, run their business well, which can sometimes be in, for lack of a better word, competition to what it means for a trucking company to run their business well. And so how is it that you can provide value protection for the carrier while providing opportunity, efficiency, and scale for the broker? Because sometimes those things can be pretty, it's the broker market can be opportunistic. The trucking market can be opportunistic at times, the asset-based side of it. So how do you guys think about being, in the middle of that, allowing for things to be free, but also allowing for things to be, not fraudulent, to go very far in that? Like, how do you think about I guess the question is, how far do you go to police the marketplace versus let it run on its own?
Yeah, well, you get a lot of questions in that one, man.
Sorry, I was a little stumbly getting there, but
No,
I feel like
not that.
That's where I was trying to get to.
Just a lot of deep questions
Yeah.
in that, which is great. I love this. So you're asking the question we get a lot, which is how are you helping the marketplace move in the most efficient way and the most trusted way possible?
Yeah.
So one thing we take that responsibility very seriously.
Yeah.
We look at the marketplace and we say, how can we help it communicate better? And how can we help it move in a faster, more efficient way together? So how do we do that? Well, first off, you have to have both sides understand that the transparency of information is important. And when you're displaying the information on the marketplace, both sides need to see in somewhat of a holistic standpoint the same information.
Yeah.
And most of it's on truck availability and rate.
Yeah.
So when a carrier does a search, what do they see in that lane that they're looking at? What do they see in that lane? And what do they see is the rate in that lane to be able to move freight. And then same thing on the brokerage side. What do they see in that lane? And what do they see for the rate going the lane? Because it's the typical issue that makes most of the problems is from an interaction standpoint is it a fair rate to move in that lane? So we have all this data on that marketplace. So it allows those two parties to communicate very easily with each other. But there's always challenges in the market because in order to operate a brokerage, in order to operate a trucking company, you have to have licensing through the federal government. You have to have insurance. You have to have bonds. You have to all those things that come. You have to make sure you're operating fairly, operating legally, all those sort of things. So we are the clean. When I say cleaning and clearing of the information, that's what we do every time. Okay, so on the carrier side, that's what we do on the carrier data every time they log in.
Right.
It's to keep the marketplace from players that aren't participating at the correct levels. We evaluate those things every time they log in, and for brokers we do it every 90 days. So because they don't churn out or they don't cease operating their business very very often.
Right.
So we make sure they meet all the requirements. So that's one thing. Number two, we have an entire division at Truckstop that makes sure that they're operating fairly with each other. So there's an opportunity for them to say, if a carrier says this broker's not treating me fairly, they can come to Truckstop through our assurance department and say this person didn't treat me fairly. We make sure they work their problems out.
Yeah.
If not, if in the worst case scenario we would say, hey, we're going to suspend your account. You can't move freight.
Right.
Now, when you have a marketplace as large as Truckstop, really important because we're a revenue machine for everybody. Everybody makes money when freight moves.
That's right.
So because these two parties have to have each other. So that's a protection for the marketplace. But you said something else that's really unique. You said, how is it that it for some of the asset-based players, how is that like? It seems like you'd be in competition with them. Well, actually, we're not in any way. Most people don't know this percentage. So we do business with thousands and thousands. I don't usually give the numbers. I'm happy to give them to you off the air. We don't give them to you, but 50% of all of the brokers that use Truckstop, and it's a large number, all right, are brokerage arms of asset-based fleets, trucking companies, big contract freight trucking companies, so they can move the overage of freight that they get every single day.
Right.
So all freight is connected, Justin.
Yeah.
Every bit of it's connected. There's no like, oh, well, this is this market. It's all siloed, and this is this market. Nope. It's all in one layered cake of a marketplace that used to have some walls in between it, but it doesn't anymore because technology is jumping those gaps and making visibility and opportunity and network connection, which we kind of talked about that yesterday.
Yeah.
How the networks are all connected together, so it doesn't matter whether it moves from a contract through a fleet that might have 500 trucks or 400 trucks or 100 trucks, or this is an overage. I'm going to move it through my brokerage in the spot market, but it's all the same company.
Yeah.
So the thing that keeps competition out is connectivity. It's all connected together through one marketplace that moves freight. Most people think that they're different. It's all the same. Even that's contracted, dedicated, spot market, and all the segments that go in between.
That's nice. So I'm doing a presentation today at 4:00.
Okay.
On that trucking is a team sport.
Yeah,
and that
it's a total team sport. Yeah.
And it's the network. The whole. So you basically just did my presentation for me, better than I'm going to be able to do it. In fact,
I doubt it.
So I might
yeah.
invite you up
Yeah.
on stage to do that. But I think we can take a clip from there anyway and kind of like feed that. Be like, look, it's not just us that's saying it.
No.
It's Truckstop as well, and seeing that this is a. This is truly it is a network. You know,
Yeah.
it is a network.
Oh, without a doubt.
You know, and it's
Yeah.
it's fascinating. You know, I think about other industries, and I can't think of any, and maybe it's just my inability to know enough of them. But the sort of the virality of this, the natural virality of this market of the carrier to the broker, the carrier to the carrier to the carrier. This it's. You know, I've been in this industry for 15 plus years now, and it still continues to fascinate me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still in awe of the way it actually works. And I feel like I'm learning so much still. You know,
man.
even like coming
Yeah.
to the show, the things you were just
Yeah.
saying. Like,
Yeah.
so I'll give you a good example. And you said it. So this is our first time doing trade shows.
Okay.
This is our second or third trade show
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And so we just built this booth this year and sort of did it with our own kind of ideas on what we would do. And you said just earlier, you may not even remember saying it, but you said, truckers are literal.
Oh yeah,
And so,
super literal,
right?
Super literal.
So in our booth, we've got this really cool design, and we've got a coffee shop here. And we try to take some elements from our office, and so to be cheeky on the coffee, we've got a sign that says "Fuel Stop."
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah,
Did you right? So yeah, I didn't know. No, you and I didn't. So we've got people coming by being like, I've never seen your Fuel Stop anywhere before.
Right,
they think we're a Flying J competitor, right?
right,
So
right,
it's just like shit. It's like so like right away. So I saw the sign and I heard this. Like, we got to change this thing. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna take this down and put Rose Rocket TMS up on here now because it's just these. And so you'd think that after 15 years and talking to hundreds of customers, you'd think that this would be obvious to me by now, but it's just the learnings are just so they just come at me continuously and often, and it's I don't have much more to say on that, but it just really is it blows my mind a little bit how far and how much I still have to learn.
Well, I'll tell you, it's funny. Prior to Truckstop, I worked for a media company. Like I said, I worked for Overdrive Magazine, which is, it started in 1961. It was the sort of Bible version for this industry on.
Is it still around?
Truckers having a voice. They actually stopped making the magazine. They're a digital version now. But I just learned over a long time of dealing with owner-operators that because what you want to do in any company is you want your customer or your potential customer to understand what you're trying to communicate to them. And truckers are so literal that if you say, I'm this, or I want to say this, they take you at your word. And we know this at Truckstop because we were the internet Truckstop.
Right.
That's our official name. When we started in 1995, we started by a guy who's a mathematician, physicist. And he goes, well, truckers used to find their loads at a truck stop on a TV, and so we're going to be on the internet. So I'll just call our company the Internet Truckstop.
Yes, right.
And so I can't tell you how many people have come up to us going, "Hey, where are your truck stops?"
Yeah,
And I'm going, "This is why I know this because it's like, we're not a truck stop." Well, okay, do you have access to all the truck stops?
Yeah.
We're not that kind of truck stop.
Yeah.
So we've had to explain ourselves a lot in the marketplace too.
Yeah.
So knowing your audience is very literal. Is super important because you want them to understand you. And when I was in the media world, I would meet with a lot of advertising companies, and they would say, "Okay, what's the secret? What's the secret?" And I'd say, "Well, just remember that your audience is very direct and very literal. Don't try to get too creative. This isn't the high end. You want to win an advertising award, but your advertising and your imagery." Because your audience will look at it and go, first off, they'll look at it and go, well, that ain't me. Second off, they'll go, I don't know what they're talking about. So looks.
I feel you're talking about Rose Rocket right now.
And then they'll flip the page and see somebody that says, we'll save you money on your fuel. Okay, that's good. So it's just knowing your audience. It's like anything else in life, whoever it is, whatever relationship you're trying to create, is know who you're talking to. And so in the end, we all want to make our companies look good and feel good, especially for the people, kind of the modern day people that work there. But I think I used to say this all the time to advertising people, and even to our truck stop, our partners that work with us, and I'd say, remember, we work in an industry that is not who you are. They don't look like you. They don't live like you. They don't operate like you. So you have to understand how they operate. And it's super important in anything for your audience to say, oh, hey, that company represents me.
Yeah.
One of the cool things about Truckstop, we were started in a little small town in Idaho, population 1,400, a little small agriculture town called New Plymouth, Idaho. It doesn't even have a traffic signal. It's got the craziest 6-point intersection. It's got 3 stop signs, and so it's like, I don't know how people don't run into each other every day there, but.
Right.
But it's really unique, and that really kind of kept us small and humble, and really understanding the marketplace, because we were very direct too, and so, but it was a lot of fun. So, but yeah, it's just about that. It's about understanding the marketplace. But anyway, so that was a fun conversation yesterday.
Yeah, I was laying awake in the hotel last night, staring at the ceiling, having a brand identity crisis, and that comment there has not helped.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Still learning.
I'm just
learning.
Me too, man.
Yeah, man.
Every day. We are too every day.
Yeah. So as Truckstop has become I think in this space, relative household name.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Yeah.
And so as you guys are continuing to move forward, what are you thinking about for the future? What are your plans, and what do you want to share in terms of next steps for Truckstop?
Yeah. Well, I would encourage this for anybody in this marketplace, is that, well, first thing is, remember that you're in an industry that is, well, just in the United States, and I kind of consider, you're based out of Toronto, and that I consider our brothers and sisters to the north the same as part of the the North American experience, and so that you're in a marketplace that's over $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Now, I know that lately that number's been in the news a lot, so it gets kind of normalized. Like, oh yeah, it's $1 trillion.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one that we are. If you connect it to the supply chain, which it is, it's the largest market in the world.
Yeah.
There's nothing bigger.
Yeah.
So just realize that you're in a very, 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 very big marketplace that is kind of like, if you liken it to like ships on the ocean, it's the largest aircraft carrier out there.
Yeah.
So aircraft carriers, if you notice, they don't turn quickly.
Yeah. Right.
If they do, they've got problems.
Yeah.
Right? They tip over. But when they move meaningfully, because you don't want an aircraft carrier parked off your shore, right? Because it's a tactical military base off your shore. Because when it moves meaningfully. So this industry is that big. So when it moves slowly, and it moves meaningfully. It's not going to have super disruption, and it's going to change in 2 or 3 years. It changes over time, 5 years, 10 years, because it's so big. It pivots slowly, but know where it's going. So where's it going today? What we've seen over our 27 years, and especially, I started in the logistics aspect of the thing in 2013. I saw companies coming in, bringing in tools that made the communication move faster, more elegantly, more efficiently, more truthfully between the parties, so freight could move faster. So, and what I mean by that is people just go, oh, it's technology. Well, you just can't define it by technology. It's how is a tool, and so these are all virtual tools. You've got a virtual tool, we've got a virtual tool that helps the interaction of two parties that need to move something or need to transact together. How can you make that a faster transaction so more freight can get communicated, taken or committed to, and moved onto a truck and get delivered so more of that can happen? And here's why that's important. I started this industry in 1998. In 1998, there were about 3.6 million trucks moving freight. 20 plus years later, you want to guess how many trucks are moving freight in North America? 3.5 to 3.6 million. We have no more trucks.
Yeah. Freight
has increased tremendously.
Yeah.
The U.S. population and the Canadian population has increased tremendously because we're great places to live and people come here. So there's going to be a whole lot more ketchup and mustard that needs to be moved. So the freight has increased, but what's made that possible is that the communication has gotten faster. The ability to get freight on more trucks faster, the ability for that truck to move in a more efficient way from point A to point B has gotten faster and more and safer in the marketplace. So what's going on in this marketplace right now is that there's more companies focused on efficiency, and technology is one of the best producers of efficiency in the time. And why is efficiency important? Because it helps maximize the only thing we cannot make more of, which is time. Time is the most valuable element, and trucking is based on the mile. Everything's by the mile, but it's negotiated in time.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing products that maximize time better.
Yeah.
And where there's time better, there's more efficiency in trucks. Because right now, there's one of the crazy statistics that is just blows people's mind is that if you look at all the trucks in North America, and that includes all the commercial for-hire trucks and even all the private trucks, about 40% of them moving up and down the road are empty, going somewhere else to go back to a location to get freight or going to a new location to get freight.
Yeah.
That's really inefficient.
Yeah.
You know, trucks that get delayed at a dock, you know, that's called detention. It's a delay, or can't find a parking place because of the way that the ELDs make you, they're constantly monitoring you, which is probably, it's going to end up being a great thing for them. That's all reduces the number of hours that they can operate. And so the maximizing that efficiency is super important. And that's where technology or piece of products that maximize time are going to thrive in this marketplace, because they're eliminating the things that are a problem, or are creating a inefficiency or a bad use of time, or not as good of use of time in the marketplace. You guys are doing it. We've been doing it for a long time, and so we are looking at products that do that. And so the marketplace has come back down from normal. The pandemic marketplace was the biggest we've had since deregulation. It was the longest expansion of freight in the world since deregulation in the United States, which was 1980. So we're coming back down to normal. Well, when things are normal, you can bring new products into your company to help your company operate. So that's what's going on. So you're seeing that. You'll see that in spades over the next three to 4 years on more companies adopting products that help their efficiency when it comes to maximizing their time and use of their company assets. So that's what you'll see. And we're doing it. You're doing it. Other companies here, there's lots of them that are doing it, which is really good for this industry.
Well, I think, people are starting to mill around here, and the background noise is starting to heat up. So I think we'll end on that note. I think it was an excellent way to do it. I feel like I could talk to you all day. You've got a very disarming and genuine way about you, and I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate you spending this time here. And I feel just a little bit wiser after talking to you, and I have still a long way to go, but thank you for a little bit anyway.
Well, it's great to be here. We appreciate you guys, and I'll tell you, when I came in the booth yesterday, I was looking for you, and I ran into one of your representatives, a guy named John, who was genuine, who was real, who was accommodating, who was helpful, who was all those things. So if that's a reflection of your company and what you're trying to bring to the marketplace, then it was a home run. So he just did a fantastic job. So we wish you guys the best, and as everything, let us know how we can help you grow in the marketplace, because it's a giant marketplace. We all need to serve to make this a better marketplace for these carriers that come to this show to be able to do what they want to do. So I'm glad you're doing that, because we're trying to do the same thing. Okay, so thank you so much for the compliment.
Likewise. Okay, well, Brent, thank you, and I hope you like this episode. We have no idea how this one's going to turn out, but don't forget to like, subscribe, or do whatever you do to engage. Man. Leave us a comment or something. Okay, Brent, thank you, man.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Be well. Bye.